Please be quiet. We talk. How's everyone doing this morning? Great. Good, beautiful, beautiful. How many people are doing bold right now? No, not ball, bold. It's bold. Beautiful. It absolutely is life changing. We'll be seeing you guys in that process. We're gonna be providing some lunches and everything. Real quick, I just want to run through the HVAC slideshow I've done before. I know some of you may have seen it. I know several of you haven't. But what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how we're adding value, right? And when you want to go down that listing, right, you want to make sure that listing is where it's up to snuff, right? You don't want to go last minute.
Had me say,
What do you mean? You're going to call it out,
damn it.
right? Or, oh, it's 85 degrees inside and out. So we're going to talk about HVAC and furnaces or to heat or not to heat. That is the plan. So we're going to talk about the air conditioning units here. We have two types of units. We're all familiar with this one, right? On the left, that's our split units, right? That's what is in a lot of the houses. Your smaller houses, those 1950s and 60s homes, more than likely you're going to see these package units. That's the all-in-one, heating and cooling, one single unit, right? What are we looking for on the inspections? What can you guys look for when it's listing it or as a potential buyer is looking at it as well? Well, the first thing we're going to look for is dirty or damaged fins, right? Those fins are those little silver lines you see on the outside unit. How many of you guys have kind of seen like wood chippings in there and yard trimmings, right? Anyone seen that, right? About 14 weeks of cobwebs and spider webs that added to the 15 years of spider web and cobwebs. Does this seem like an issue? How high of an issue? Doesn't seems like an issue to you, right? Why?
Can't breathe.
Can't breathe, right? Is this an issue? If it can't breathe, you can be 85 degrees outside and have a -4 block of ice. And they're gonna be inside going, I don't know what's going on. It's not getting any cooler because essentially you're shutting off the lungs of the machine. Think of it that way, right? If you block that flow, it's not gonna be effective. So small things like keeping these clean can actually add value. The other thing we're gonna look at, that inner part, that air handler. How's that look? Right? Looks great, doesn't it? Who wants to breathe that in? So this is the corrosion we're gonna see in crawl spaces when they are wet. Anytime, and it's August, guys. Guess what the crawl space is gonna be? Wet, right? Wet also leads to other things that you see like the damaged insulation, but the corrosion, any type of corrosion, think of this as the skin of the HVAC unit, right? If I have a hole in my skin, what does that allow? Bacteria, right? It allows other things to enter into the system. So we want to make sure that it looks more like that than the previous picture. Now we're going to talk a little bit about heating as we're about to switch into the cooler weather. This is when in North Carolina in the morning, you're going to have the furnace set, right? By lunchtime, you're going to have the AC blasting, and about 9 o'clock at night, you're going to turn the furnace back on, right? We're entering into that weather. So what do we want to know? Do I have a heat pump? Do I have a furnace? How many of them put no representation because they have no idea? Right? How would you guys like to know in 5 seconds if you could determine if it's a heat pump? Right? See this little pretty valve right here? That is called a reversing valve, a three-way valve. Call it Timbuktu, I don't care. What you are looking for is that little piece right there.
The yellow?
This whole piece. So you're gonna look for a pipe that has 3 down and 1 up. Now this can be configured sideways, upside down, it doesn't matter. If it is a train unit, you're gonna look on the outside between the fins and the casing. Any other unit, Train and American Standard, same company. Any other unit, you're gonna actually look inside where the fan is. And you're gonna look for that little valve right there. That's gonna tell you right away, hey, they have a heat pump. If all I have is a single pipe, more than likely you're gonna find that furnace. Okay, couple things. One, it's electric, right? This is our reversing valve. The problem is when it gets cooler, we lose our efficiency, right? Below 30, a heat pump has a hard time maintaining. So that's why we have that auxiliary strips. Anyone have a house in the middle of winter time, all of a sudden you get what smells like a hairdryer turning on? Right? You go, oh, the heat turned on. No, your heat was running. You're running your auxiliary heat strips. Okay. We got now the inner air coils. We want to keep these just like the outside. We want to keep them free of debris, keep them free and clean. Otherwise, the one on the left will fail, and the one on the right is going to keep you kind of looking good, right? So we have furnace. We have the 3 sources of power. We have electric, oil and natural gas, right? So here's your old school oil furnace, big old motor. You'll see these in the 50s and 60s houses, big container in the basement, right? Two doors with a single panel on one side. They're older units. They're kind of definitely phasing them out, right? They can be costly just because of the fact that you are dealing with oil. Oil is very expensive right now. And it may require EPA evaluation. Who knows why? Oil tank. Who said it? I heard it. Yeah. So again, on that listing appointment, you're gonna go around the outside of the house. If it's an older house, 50s, 60s, even 70s, look for these two stacks right here, right? Because if they go, oh, I got a 2019 heat pump. Cool, well, that wasn't always there, right? So on my listing, I need to know, is an environmental agency gonna all of a sudden stop that deal at the end? Or is that gonna come up and start putting a hard brake on that? Go outside, you're gonna look for these two caps. Those are underground oil tanks, or were underground oil tanks. Do we know what we're gonna do if we see these? We're gonna ask for disclosure, right? Because that's what we're gonna say, hey, we need to figure out what's going on. Is this a tank? Has it been properly terminated? Or are we gonna have an issue where all of a sudden we're leaking oil? And I've done remediations, $22,000, where they just had to pull the tank out and pull this oil out because somebody filled the tank. They replaced it and you have literally 100 gallons of oil just kind of seeping into your soil. That look familiar? That's what's on the ground in the other place. Okay, that's all it is. Two different stacks, but that's essentially what you have. Now your furnace on the inside, this is your gas furnace, right? Natural gas, that's where we're gonna see that big old meter, right on the outside of the house, usually a blue or a gray color. They can have a very high energy burn. High energy burn can be much more high efficiency and more bang for your buck. Okay, we're always wanna make sure that our gas lines are connected, no corrosion, so we're always gonna make sure on that. What you guys wanna do is you guys wanna make sure that as you guys are going through the house, if it's accessible for you guys, remember, we're talking about value, right? What can you do? If you can just take that cover off, if you see, if it's the winter time and we don't have all chambers firing, we got an issue. If you see rust building up, we got an issue. Okay, so that's something that you guys can be aware of as you're going through the listing, going what, or selling, going what, where's the value? What do I need to be aware of? What's gonna come down the line? Those are the defects that you're gonna see. One more thing, there's this company called Stratton Inspections. They're great guys. Okay, they do this amazing inspection. It's 549. It's home, it's radon, and it's also termites from these guys. They're gonna come out here and do the termite, not him, he doesn't get dirty. But again, Stratton Inspections, we're here for you, not just through the inspection, but we want to be on the same team all the way through. All right, do you guys have any questions about anything we've seen or anything that we went over? I know it's kind of a lot of information coming down. But if you do have any questions, I'm gonna probably be by the baked beans. Definitely about the baked beans. After this, thank you guys for your time. Again, Patrick with Stark Exterminators looking handsome as always. And we're gonna provide that inspection for you. We're gonna provide the termite reports for you. And thank you guys for letting us come. Yes, ma'am.
It's your coverage here.
Yes.
Or like we're in the mountains. Do you cover the mountains?
Define mountains. Because are we like
The
talking?
very tip, like fire.
Yeah, it's just camping fire. That's what it's.
That means you cover it, right?
Yes. That's it out loud? We don't have that.
Yeah. I know it's your cost.
Oh, you know, the attic and static and, yeah, we definitely talk, we can make sure that happens. I did realize there is a need for Sparta. Again, so, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? If you guys have beach property, the answer is yes. There is an overnight stay. All right, thank you guys very much, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, people can grab food.
What?
So, yes, thank you. Feel free to get up and get your food. I'm gonna go ahead and start the presentation because there is quite a bit of information and just have your active listening ears on and be courtesy for other people. Try to do it as quietly as possible. I'm excited to be here. Listing presentation for sellers. So why are we focusing on sellers? Anybody know?
It's a seller's market.
It's been a seller's market, absolutely. We don't see a buyer's market coming anytime soon. It will eventually be here and then we'll present on buyers. But sellers drive our whole business. Sellers drive the ability for us to control that business. When you're doing sellers, you are effectively in control of your pipeline. So you're working with your sellers, you have unrepresented buyers coming into the open house. That seller may need to buy. The buyers that are coming into the house may need to sell. And then your listing sign is out on the side of the road, seen by I don't know how many people. Doing an open house, the reason to do that is to pepper everywhere with open house signs, so you're seeing more. So that is why we focus on sellers, because sellers bring in the rest of the business in a quicker fashion than just working with buyers, in an essence. So does everybody know their GCI goals? With Keller Williams, they're really focused on everybody knowing your numbers and knowing what you need to reach your big why. So if you have not sat down with someone and ran through how many listings you need to get to reach your goals for the year, I strongly recommend that you get with a coach or you get with someone that can go through those worksheets with you and kind of talk you through it and see how you're going to meet those goals. Because how hard is it to meet a goal that you don't even know exists? How are you going to measure your progress to that goal if there's no expectation of your timeline? Yes or yes? Yeah. Y'all gonna have to be a little more communicative. So I've already answered this one, and I'm gonna go by this, and I'm also gonna fill in. The listing presentation has a direct effect on your monthly listing goals. If you get appointments and do not close them, you'll be meeting a lot of great people. I promise you'll enjoy them and they'll enjoy you, but you're not developing your business that way. And that's a good way to make friends and a bad way to pay the bills. Okay? It's not a way to make a living. So what do you need when you're in these listing presentations? What's the ultimate goal?
What way with the signed listing agreement?
Thank you. It's your conversion rate, in essence. It's getting that listing signed, getting that business so that you can then market and promote it and do everything in such a fashion that that person brings you more business in the future. Okay? What is the bold law? What we focus on expands. So if we're going to focus on listings, then we're going to have more listings, correct?
Correct.
So the time it takes to deliver a presentation for our sellers matters. Is your time valuable? Yes. So is theirs. If they're considering selling their home, they may have a life event that's happening. They may have a lot that's going on that they need to coordinate, and you're there to offer them support. But their time is still valuable. So what you do not want to do is talk for a really long time with very little value and expect them to sign the paperwork. We at Keller Williams also have something called DISC. If you haven't taken a DISC, if you do not know your DISC profile, please do so at your convenience. DISC is important. My team knows me inside and out. If you went to one of my team members and asked them to describe me, you would probably get a different, honest opinion of me for sure. But I'm most likely a C at most times, so I'm very detail oriented. I like my research when I go to listing presentations. I can be a D. I can be very direct. Most of all, do not hug me. That's the number one rule. Do not hug me. Fist bump. That's okay. But do my sellers think? Absolutely, they do. Do I get out of there before then? Yes, I do. All right. So we're going to adapt to whatever they are. If you feel that they're talking really fast, then you're going to need to speed up and stop being so southern. If you feel like they're asking very direct questions that they only want an answer, then you're going to have to skip. Even if it makes you uncomfortable, you're going to have to skip all the reasoning and the logic that it took you to get to that conclusion. And they want the conclusion, not the process. So you have to be adaptable in that situation to meet them where they are and tell them what they're needing to hear, okay? So how do you do this? Who is part of script practice? Who has a script practice that they attend on a regular basis? No, okay. I would love to challenge you to correct that. Candy sends out the daily candy, and the James Shaw is a wonderful presentation. I know that who's Bree in Charlotte,
Mhm.
she does a wonderful practice as well. And is she on right before James or right after?
She's on out before.
She's right after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are resources you can use to jump on, and even if you're not comfortable participating in the script practice, hearing people walk through that, okay? A lot of us are in bold, reminder, your homework's due in 2 days, okay? So a lot of us are in bold, you have a team in bold, use them to script practice, use them to discuss the challenges that you are facing and to talk through those. Would you rather practice on your clients, or would you rather practice with your teammates or someone else at Keller Williams? And remember, we don't practice to get it right, we practice until we can't get it wrong. Okay? Because you may have to say it in a lot of different ways for this individual to hear it. And one individual may receive it differently than another individual, so you have to know it so well that you can adapt it to that individual and what they're going through, okay? Gary Keller told us that we have 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth, 1. So ask an open-ended question and then shut it. Practice the awkward silence. Let it sit in the room, because they may be figuring out how to let you know this in their head, okay? I have sat there and said, I'm gonna give you time, but this is important for me to know. Let them know that there's a reason why you're asking this. You're valuing their time, but it's important so that I can best meet your needs. Does that make sense? Practice the pause. It's not uncomfortable, and it seems a lot longer than it actually is in reality. Okay. Let's think what eggs. I'm not changing this, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all have been sent the email. And a lot of this is just me going over it. What? Okay, most clients don't know how to differentiate between agents. Your job is to give them evidence to make it easy for them to differentiate and in your favor. How many people have had an agent on the other side and you're like, just give me to closing?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And there's been a lot of them that I recognize that is just inexperienced, and I can deal with that a lot better than someone that's just not doing their job. You know, just not representing their client well. And sorry, I'm gonna take advantage of that as a listing agent, in the most ethical way I can. But what you wanna do is show them that you're the hyper-local expert and you need data to do that. So it's back to knowing your numbers. It's back to knowing, if you don't have numbers, use the market center's numbers. Again, 7-day snapshot that Candy sends out, use that to your advantage. Look, at any given time, we're going to be able to tell you what the market looks like. We're going to be able to tell you what is happening and what the trends are, because it's important. It's important to know that information. Show them why you're perfectly suited to help their specific property type and their specific neighborhood, and why it's not a coincidence that you're the one that's there. So another example of this would be, sellers often ask, are you familiar with this area? Well, when you say this area, do you mean this street, this road, this school system? Tell me a little bit more about that. That is one of Heidi's favorite questions, and I have adopted it. So when you have a seller that's got anxiety around something and you're trying to dig a little deeper, That's one of my favorite open-ended questions. Can you tell me a little more about that? Don't be specific. Don't ask them specifically, you know, what. Tell me a little bit more about what's happening right now. Why do you feel that way? I did it yesterday when I was in negotiations and I spoke to one seller, they were happy, spoke to the other seller, they were not having it. And I said, tell me a little bit more about why this is bothering you so much. Tell me a little bit more about why this is a hard line. Like, help me understand it so that I can best represent you. My goal is to be your fiduciary to the highest level. Okay. All right. Marketing also is important to clients. We're like 4 slides down. Marketing is also important. Okay, we just had that wonderful class with Alonda. We have people in the market center who do marketing to a high level. And if you're new at it and you need to reach out, or you need to reach out to someone on a team that does marketing for that team, please do. We call it R&D at Keller Williams. It's rip off and duplicate. And it's widely accepted because we're here to help each other. We won't give you all the secrets, I promise. We won't give you most of them. Don't overpromise on marketing because marketing can be expensive and agents should be careful about what they're spending money on. Back to your numbers. MREA, there's a guideline on how much percentage you should spend on each thing that has to do with your business. If you have not taken an MREA class, I recommend to do that as well. These are wonderful classes that are there to inform you on what works best to run your business most efficiently. Okay? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I want to get through all this information. Most people, true or true, when it comes to pricing strategy, most people overvalue their property.
Okay.
One of the biggest services an agent can do is to help a client list at a reasonable price. A house that is overpriced won't sell. And what's important? Days on market. You don't want, it's important to your business, but it's important to the client as well so that they get the most out of their net proceeds that they can. And it hurts marketing efforts to start high. Remember, marketing can be expensive. So why are you spending all this money up front, pushing something out in the market that's just going to sit? Starting high and hoping is not a great strategy. Make sure you lay the groundwork for future price adjustments. They said reductions. We don't call that. We call them price adjustments. And what will trigger them? So this is very important. When you go in your initial listing presentation and you just have a seller that's not having it, they're going to list for whatever they want to list for, although you're giving them all the information that they need that proves that the price range, because we're not giving them a price point, we're giving them a price range, and then they're making the decision. So if they're going to be at the very top of that range, then I'm going to have a discussion with them, and it usually goes as such. It usually says, I am absolutely comfortable starting off at that price point because it is at the top, you are being aggressive, but I want to make sure that you don't have a fear of missing out on any net proceeds. What we are going to do in this process is we are going to listen to the feedback that's coming from the market. Lots of showings, but no offers. Is that feedback? Yes. No showings. Is that feedback? Yes. So everything is feedback for a seller. And we're going to revisit that feedback, and you can even put the dates on a piece of paper and have them sign it. If you haven't got a valid offer that's reasonable, that is within your price range of acceptance, in the first, I would say, 3 weeks now, Dean? Let's give it a moment at this time. In the first 3 weeks, then we're gonna talk about the options, okay? And we're gonna do something because you need to refresh on the market because everybody that got excited about your home when it was on the market for the first time has already seen it, okay? So what else could you do other than a price adjustment? I mean, we've had Ms. McKenzie here talking about it. We've had, Ms. Melanie Troutman talking about it. We've had a lot of lenders talking about it. What can we do? Buy downs. And what else? And making improvements in the property. Make improvements in the property, absolutely. You can have a stager come in, that's an option. You could get a price quote for a 2-1 buy down. That's a win-win for both parties, because typically the buy down is gonna be less expensive than a price adjustment. But it's still gonna bring that buyer in because it saves them money on their mortgage payment. That you're putting in escrow for them. So it doesn't have to be a price adjustment, but we're gonna have to do something at that point. If you are not getting the showings that you need, or you're getting showings and not getting offers, or you're getting offers that's lower than what you expect. Okay, so they say the best listing presentations start before the listing appointment. Does anybody agree with that?
Does that mean for me?
Anything, yeah. What it means to me is when I meet a seller for my listing appointment, I'm pretty familiar with that seller. I've already built rapport. And I've done that, or our team has done that in several ways. And includes several members of our team, but you can do it as an individual agent. This is my experience. So when my inside sales associates, our call girls, set an appointment. They're all female, so I can say that. When our call girls set us an appointment, they are doing a warm transfer. They are asking that seller to please hold because they want to make sure that they introduce them to the hyper local expert that they'll be meeting on that day. What is the best way to make money in real estate? Answer the phone. Answer the phone. Please, agents, answer the phone. So when you answer the phone and you immediately say, you know what, I know we're meeting the other day, but I wanted to take the time today to get to know your home so that I make sure that the information I'm bringing you on that date is the most accurate I can possibly present. Tell me more about what's happening. That phone call usually takes less than 10 minutes. Oftentimes it might be less than 5, but they've heard my voice. They know my intention is to support them and to give them enough information. I always tell them my job as your fiduciary is to advise and inform you to the point where you're confident to make the best decision that works for you. This is not my decisions that we're making. This is your decisions and my job is to execute them to the highest level. Make sense? And your job is to make them confident enough to make those decisions that work best for them. So then you go into that also tells you a little bit about their motivation. Is it urgent that they sell? Is it something that they're dabbling their toes in? You know, why are you considering moving? Where's the grandkids? Tell me where the grandkids are, because that's where you're going. You know, that kind of thing. So that also gives you a sense of how much energy you need to put into this initial appointment. Do you think they're going to sign right away? They're going to sign the agency, they're ready to list. You need to have your photographer and your measurer and everybody on speed dial and ready to go. Or is this going to be a follow-up plan? You know, is this building rapport or is this signing an agreement? Both are valuable because if you're adding value and they're saying, well, you know what? I decided not to sell, but this young lady spent an hour with me that day and, you know, she really knew her stuff. You should call her. I find that valuable. That's worth my time. I'm networking at that point, you know? So your pre-listing, another part of it is our ISAs as well as me send out an email. The ISAs are sending out an email saying it was lovely to talk to you. I have put this on her calendar. This is her contact information. Your appointment is this day and time. I'm sending out an email with my pre-listing booklet. It's a little bit different than our listing booklet that we take at the time of the appointment, but I'm sending out a pre-listing booklet. I'm sending out disclosures so that if they want to be high seas like me, they'll have that ready to go if they're ready to list. If they are not high seas like me, they probably didn't even open it. But I'm sending them and doing another touch by emailing them and saying, it was lovely to speak with you by phone. This is what I heard is important to you. This is the information I'm bringing. Here are some things to consider before the appointment. And if you have any questions, You can also respond to this email before I get there. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a question. Do I do just the pre-listing email or do you do a packet too?
There are other agents that will mail or drop by a packet. It's just however you want to do it. I email it. Again, time. I think that if I'm talking to you on the phone, then I've made that connection, I've made that rapport. So, and I think email is the quickest way to get it to them, when oftentimes, the appointments are being set for 2 days from now. Yeah, type of thing.
What do you have as a shop? Like, is it just?
So I'll have the disclosures, and I'll have the pre-listing packet, which has like what you want to send the seller in your pre-listing email is all of your braggadocious stuff. You want to send them your numbers, you want to send them your, examples of your marketing. These are the things in the pre-listing email that you don't want to talk about when you're in person with them. When you're in person with them, you want to talk about their goals and what you can do to help them and this house. The pre-listing email is about your team and everything, or you and everything that you've done and how amazing you are and why you should choose you.
Does any of that information like duplicate, like in your actual presentation, you just don't go over it in the actual?
Yeah, there's, anybody in here on my team, shut your ears, there's about 4 pages in our listing packet during the meeting that I actually go over. Because I spend the time focused on them. And the things in our packet that I go over is how does showing time work? Here's our marketing strategy. Here's what your house should look like, those type of things. So
You don't send them the brochure though. That is taken to the appointment, right?
which brochure?
The pre-brochure.
There's different ones. We have one for listing that's a minor version of the one that we take. Yep. Yep. You want the 7-day snapshot, you can add that. You can attach everything that Candy sends. You want to show them that the research has been pulled. You're knowledgeable about the market. You can say, hey, by the end of September, I will have, since last October, because I'm having October, but I'll have 50 listings, which was my goal. I'll actually have just a couple of but that's something that they need to know. Hey, you're handling things on a high level. When I get into my listing meeting, I'm letting them know my leverage. I'm letting them know that they can reach me anytime. Why? Because I choose to leverage out the things that can be done by other people so that I can focus on them. So it's all about them in the listing appointment and their goals and their needs. All the bragging stuff comes in the pre-listing email, and that's how I prefer to do it. Okay? Any questions about those?
I have a question. Sure. You're telling them you have 50 listings a year. Do they ever say, which you're on a team, I know it's kind of other people to help, but you're not on a team. They say, oh, we've done that. How are you gonna have the time to look in to be here doing that all year?
Sure. So for me, the answer is the leverage. There's a page in our book that shows our leverage and how we utilize that. For an individual listing agent, if your number is going to be less, you can say, I choose in my business, it's all about setting expectations in the mindset. I choose in my business that this is what, this amount of listings or this amount of clients help me reach my goals. And by reaching my goals, I'm happy to say that with these goals, I can spend more time individually with my clients. I'm gonna tell them I'm spending more time, but you can too, you can tell them individually, I'm gonna be the one that's solely focused on your goals. And I'm gonna make sure that every I, every T, everything is done to the standard in which I expected myself. It's just a spinning in there. You gotta become a spinner. Gotta become a spinner.
I have a question. So I've been doing this a year now, so I actually have some numbers I can share. But for a new agent, like I heard that when I first started, and what do you say?
You use the market center. This is the market center that I chose to be a part of because look at how they perform in the market. I have access to every person in this market center at a drop of a hat that is there to support us and me and my goals of helping you. And
Yeah, and it's been great, it's something more simple than saying like, my office is the number one in the triad. Based on these numbers and just keeping it, based on,
yep, just spinning it without ever explaining it.
now it's like. So now, as an individual agent, I always tell people like they're interviewing other teams, like you have me, you get me, you're not gonna be tossed around between admin and transaction coordinator. And yeah, that's kind of my shtick right now. That's why I get transitioned from the. You keep up throughout the whole process.
So in that pre-listing call, I'm also setting expectations of what they need to have ready for me. So the biggest thing they need to have is all decision makers present. I'm not going out there if I can't tell everybody what I need to tell them.
I'm sorry, was that in the call, was that in the email?
Pre-listing call.
Pre-listing call.
When I do that warm transfer, I'm making sure that all decision makers are gonna be there. If they can't be there in person, they can be there by FaceTime, be there by phone, but I need all ears listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Because it's important. If this is an important life event for you, then I need you to show up and I'll show up and we'll get it figured out. Okay? They also need to have HOA information, any updates they've done on their home and when. They need to, in the pre-listing call, I asked them how much mortgage they owe. Because I want to have that net sheet done. I don't want to fill out that net sheet in the appointment. I want to have it done for them and I want to walk them through it to a high level and explain what they can expect at closing. Okay? I need to ask them on that pre-listing call, do they think there's any repairs needed? What is the price point they're thinking of? What kind of marketing would they expect if they worked with my team? Or, what type of marketing do they think they're looking for? And also, are there any showing time restrictions? You would think that I would go into it at that time, but I need to know if they work from home. I need to know if that's something that's going to be factored in. Because that might factor in our marketing, it might factor in a lot of different strategies, our open houses, things like that. Inspection. Inspection.
I noticed, homeschooling is a thing, so a lot of, sellers do not want in and out traffic water.
So they're different. So I'll see you 3 to 8 every day.
Do you go over like, I guess the risk, not really risk, but the risk of limiting showing to sellers?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. If I'm putting you on the market and I'm telling you that the first time you're on the market, the first couple of days, you're shiny and bright and new to buyers, and you're saying that your availability is going to be diminished, then maybe this is not your week. We have strategies to overcome everything, and we can always have one of our agents do a video walkthrough of the home. And there are things that we can do to keep the excitement up. However, we need to anticipate that so we can put it into play. It all starts with the introduction. This is when you're, the introduction to me is that warm transfer. That's where I start building rapport. This goes back to what I said earlier. A lot of percentage of time is spent listening and talking. Listing presentations are not lectures, they're conversations. And the person leading the conversation is the one talking the least. Thank you for saying. So the person that's leading the conversation is the one that's asking the open-ended question and then shutting their mouth. You're the one guiding the conversation to where you want it to be. Does that make sense? So you have to be comfortable with, for me, it's really hard. I will tell you I struggle with this as an agent because I'm a high C. I want to go give them, I just know this information. And a lot of times I have to just go listen. Fortunately. Take notes while you're there. I'll ruffle through our little listing booklet and I'll find, I always put a blank piece of paper in there. But I'll ruffle through there and find a blank piece of paper and I'll go, really? It's interesting, I'll note that, I'll put that in your note. That's important to you, so I'm gonna write that down. You can't imagine. They're like, oh, shit. That's what they're on, they want you to listen. Oh, I need new paper. Y'all just ignore that up there. So this goes into proving that you're the local expert in the language of real estate and those kind of things. You do want to speak in a way that they're understanding. The first time you present MLS, are you familiar with our MLS, our multiple listing service that agents use to just give them a quick definition? No, don't assume they know all of our acronyms because there are many. Yeah. Property specific expertise. What do you have to offer the seller that is specific to their property? And what do you know about the neighborhood or home that offers value to them? Why are you that person? Why is it that in our team, I could tell you everything about manufactured homes from beginning to end? I can tell you about hurricane stress. I can tell you about the title at the DMV. I can tell you, if you've got manufactured home questions, go to Seagull and Clifford first, and if they can't answer it, I probably can. Why? I don't turn people away. If you know, I have listed a lot of manufactured homes. If you need help and that's the home you have, I've got you. You know, but with manufactured homes, there are a lot of different lender stipulations. You know, single wide versus double wide, and then, you know, has the title been submitted to the DMV so that it be affixed as real property? That's a couple steps. They can get really sticky. I'm not gonna worry with you. Okay, so cover your CMA, then discuss the neighborhood, and what else do you need to tell them about the market? This is where I wrote indicator report. So does anybody know, or does anybody print an indicator report? You know what that is? I have a listing appointment this afternoon. Okay. This is also our MLS. It's called a real estate indicator report. This is my absolute favorite thing ever. It's under the marketing tools or marketing resources. It'll say indicator report. So you can sort by the last 6 months, residential, stick site built, or manufactured. You can search by the city, county, zip code, everything. So down through here is the price points. Through here is the number of bedrooms. And this tells you how many during this time period have sold. So for the price point 2 to 220, in the last 6 months, there's been 14 homes sold in 27406 in Guilford County.
Is this an MLS?
Mm-hmm. Is it by zip code? It's by anything you want to search for.
Usually go back 6 months.
It depends on the inventory, how far I go back, but 6 months, yes. And then it tells me right now active, there are 4 on the market. Now that could be that could be 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, but if you list your home between 2 and 220, your competition is 4. There's 4 under contract and there's 0 expired and 0 off market. This is gold. Okay. This is going to be another way that they know you have done your research and you are the local expert and you're proving it to them. These are facts. This tells them how aggressive they should be with their pricing. Maybe they need to go down into a different bracket so that they don't have as much competition. Maybe the competition in the next bracket up is not as much, and they can consider that. It's called the real estate indicator report. I gave away a secret, Heidi, sorry.
That's okay. It's not a secret.
It was, you should have seen their faces. They were like. All right, another thing about pricing strategy is have that fierce conversation. If you haven't read the book, read the book. Our whole team read the book, Fierce Conversation. You're doing them a disservice if you are not telling them that their mindset or their value is off. Say what they need to hear in the kindest way possible, but be direct about it when you're speaking. It's in the tone of your voice. It's a, this is not questionable. These are the facts. If you choose to go outside the facts, it's okay. Maybe that's okay. But it's important to me that you understand that this is what the market says. So that when the market performs, like I said, then you're not mad. Okay? So learn how to have a difficult conversation in a caring way. Okay? Just the way that you would learn to constructively criticize their compilation of things in their home. We're not decluttering, we are depersonalizing your home because we're making it a tool and a product for the market and for buyers to be excited about. Same way, verbiage. This is why you go back to script practice, is the verbiage. So that you, when they say it in the moment, you are comfortable coming back with what you need to come back with. I'm almost done, I've got like 3 minutes.
So you don't use the word declutter.
No. I use depersonalize because these are items that are important to them. And this is no longer your personal home if you've decided to put it on the market. You've decided to make it a product for someone to look at and buy.
And what could be clutter to us, it's not clutter to them.
No, I like it. But I'm telling y'all, I know I throw that word out there, so I'll change it, but
So
yeah.
we're gonna walk through your home and we're gonna depersonalize it.
I
the
like it.
market.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's what people do, it has to be, there's between their home and a house, so they need that.
The biggest thing I tell them is correct. The biggest thing I tell them is people, buyers pay for square footage. And we're gonna open this house up. So we're gonna depersonalize it and we're gonna make it wide open spaces. Okay? All right,
We tell people we want people to focus on the house, not on their amazing collections.
there you go. There you
Leave some maps.
10 out of 10. All right, guys, so when you prep that presentation, you want to have a nice balance between your written and oral information. People like things that they can keep, okay? People like to have stuff that they can reference and go back to. If, for instance, you have not signed that listing contract right then, okay? You may also need to know the difference between showing and telling them. So I have told you a lot of things without showing you a lot of things. Okay, that's multitasking. I've stayed focused. It's the same with sellers. So you want to show them. That's why I have the estimated net sheet filled out prior to going in. Because I want to talk to them through every piece of that. And I fill mine out more so than maybe other agents. You just need to come see me. I will start off with, here is your, let me get one. We got time. We got like 2 minutes. Let me go. Okay, you can't judge me for this one. I'm not prepared for this. Okay. Seller estimated net sheet. You're gonna give them the recommended range. That's why you fill out all 3 columns. It's not a recommended price, it's a recommended range. You're gonna go low, high, and median. Not average, median. Then right here where the mortgage, if they have a mortgage, fill it out. You've asked them that in the pre-listing call, right? Fill it out. Right here where it says attorney fees, document prep, I put $250 because I like to go over instead of under. Okay? So it's whatever you put and explain it to them. I just want to cushion this so that it's not a surprise if it's more. Right here where it says brokerage fee, I will write here PP times 0.06. Because why? I want them to be able to do this without me there. I want them to be able to fill this out for a different number if they want to. I want them to have the know-how. I'm empowering them. It's a psychological thing, okay? So I put PP times 0.06 and I'm like, this is how you figure it out for a different price point. Closing costs paid for the buyer. I put a question mark. I will go into detail telling them, you know, that this is something that could come into play, not necessarily, that's why there's a question mark. Home warranty, question mark. HOA dues and county taxes, all I do is put a check mark. And I tell them that it's gonna be prorated between the two parties at closing, and it's gonna be, you know, entirely equal. I mean, there's not really anything that's gonna be negotiated on that part. You're gonna pay your portion of the HOA fees and the taxes. Repairs from home inspection, question mark. Revenue stamps, I put PP divided by 500 and I put that number out there. And then in other, I will put overnight wire fees and I put 100. Okay, so I'm going through here and I'm telling them, if you get to the repairs from home inspection, we have options. One of those options might be the closing expenses paid for buyer. It's going to be a discussion at the time that that comes up.
What is the, revenue stamps for them?
Purchase price divided by 500. And they don't do any, change, so if there's change, level up. Purchase price divided by 500, and then purchase price times 0.07, you know, whatever it is for you, let's all get us up there, you know, let's all get us a little bit more money.
Yeah, this one's, I'm actually does it, so I haven't tried to do it. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah. So, another thing is the, just that I want to point out, because this is pretty much it. Another thing I want to point out, that I have noticed as a listing agent is right now we are dealing with have to relocate, divorces, deaths, nursing home move-in, and moving to grandkids. So this is not gonna go away, folks. The silver tsunami is here. No offense. Silver tsunami is here. So you, as a listing agent, need to grow your knowledge base around all of these things. Estates, nursing homes, all those type of things, okay? You need to be the hyper local. And what if you went to a listing appointment and they were like, this has just became so much for me to take care of and it's become overwhelming. You know what? Are you staying here or are you leaving? Because I know a couple of facilities in the area. I know a couple of estate attorneys. You need to get everything in order so that if something does happen, that you're, you know, you are the source of the source. You are there to make this whole process not overwhelming for them. Yeah, I know a good cleaner that can come in and deep clean this right before it hits the market. You don't worry about things. Okay.
Are you paying for that or are you?
That's your business plan. Yeah. If it's worth it to you and it's only, you know, you have a good relationship with a cleaner and it's a minimal fee. Yeah. And also, who do I, you know, if it's someone that's older, who would you, is there anyone that you would prefer that I copy in on emails? Get it in writing. Don't just do it. Get it in writing. CYA always document. But if there's someone that they always reference and have discussions with, absolutely. And I found this yesterday. What time? I'm over. No. Bob Berg, BURG's networking questions. So this is 10 feel-good questions, and this could help you with the pre-listing stuff. You don't have to write down the questions, just write down Bob Berg, 10 questions, and you can Google it. BURG. Bob Berg. So number one said, how did you get your start in your business? What is your, you know, why real estate? Number two is, what do you enjoy most about your profession? What's exciting to you? These could just help you with that initial pre-listing email. What separates you and your company from the competition? I like this one. It says, what advice would you give someone just starting in blank business? That might not be for the pre-listing email, but I would tell y'all to journal, because you can't make this stuff up. And to get excellent money advice. To seek that early. Number five, what one thing would you do with your business if you knew you could not fail? Number six is, what significant changes have you seen take place in your profession through the years? hey, I know that you've worked with that other agent and they have been your agent for several of the homes that you've used, but a lot has changed. And we are the hyper local experts. We've been in this market. We know how to strategize for your pricing as well as your marketing. And we have people that are dedicated to, as far as the team, we have people that are doing our marketing only. That's all they do is market. They are out there every day marketing your home. What do you see as the coming trends in the industry? Describe the strangest or funniest incident you've experienced in your business. I would say that if they push back on you, I would have one in your pocket. What was the most challenging thing that you had to overcome? Redact the names, redact the address, but what was the most challenging thing that you were like, as soon as it hit you, you're like, there's no way this is going to closing. And then you were there going, you know, that kind of thing. That's what you need to tell them. Because I am so focused on getting you to your goal, the solutions will be unlimited. We're gonna find a way. And then what ways have you found to be most effective for promoting your business? And what one sentence would you like people to use in describing the way you do business? So that's a big one to lead off. How do you want people to describe you when you're doing your business? When they go tell people of others about you, what are they saying? Okay. So the last thing I'll say is please become familiar with, and you can write this down, the promise. The promise. You can YouTube it. Would probably be the best way because the videos are fantastic. But the whole reason we take listings is because what? It's the quickest source to more business, right? So the promise is essentially when you're in that listing appointment and you are saying that you're doing all this for them on their behalf and you're focused on them. My goal is to do such a 12 out of 10 job for you and to blow your mind with everything, all the service that I provide, all the information, all the support that I provide, that you are going to want to tell your friends and family about me. So can I get your promise by the time that we go to the closing table that you provide me with one or two people that you know in your sphere that may need my expertise or my help with the same thing? And check in on that. If you've got past due diligence and they haven't given you a name, check in. Hey, you know, we're past due diligence. What a great milestone in the transaction. Just checking in. Has anyone came to mind that could use my services? Going to the closing table. Same thing. If they don't sign, what are you going to do? Follow up. I am the dean of follow up. I brought one back to life from 2021. Follow up. Specifically calling, emailing, and texting. Every so often. Hey, how's it going? Just wanted to check on you, make sure your goals are still the same. Do you need any vendors for your house right now? Do you need any recommendations? This was a situation, a divorce situation. So there was some legal stuff that had to happen prior to them being able to sell the house. Took 2 years. But guess what? Follow up. Follow up. And how often? So, quarterly. And for a 2-year follow-up, I was following up at least once a month for 2 years. Now, if it's something I think is going to be sooner, I'm calling you twice a week. And it's in my CRM, whatever you're using, whether it's Command or another one, set that task. What's the one that most of us use that I need to get on board with Todoist? Set you a task. I don't know if that, I'd probably in your CRM would work best. Whatever, if it's Command or something, but set your reminder to call this person. Because they're not gonna call you. Hey, I mean, I've had 30-second conversations. Hey, this is Amy, I'm just checking in, how you doing? Good. I know that I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet, it's okay. On your timeline, I'm gonna make sure you know I'm still here to help you. Does anybody have any less difficult questions?
We have to be out of the computer while.
I mean, really? Now's your time. And Stratton and Patrick's still here, we can answer whatever questions that you'd like.
For sure, listing paperwork, how much information is already filled out? Like, is it down to the T where you have already went into the county records and put the lot number, you know, that little section, like you have done all of that? You're,
I assume the close. I go there with everything that I know about the house from the deed and the property card and the GIS and get previous MLS, realist report, like I go in there and my pre-listing call where they told me every material that's in the house. And when the last time their roof was done, when the last time their HVAC was done, all that. I've got it all filled in.
and then whatever you like still have questions about, because you have to like see the property, just fill in those little audience at the appointment, okay? Cause some like I go on and I feel like it's slammed off, and then others is like, you know, I mean, I know that it's gonna eventually get signed, so it's like not an urgency.
And so if I have the time, when I'm there with that seller that's not gonna sign them, but they're comfortable with e-signing, like I'll sign later. I'll say, you know what, it's important to me that I leave this with you so that you have a reference when you're e-signing. So let me go through these pages and explain it to you quickly. I don't, go into too much detail, but I'll let them know what's important and why. That pre-listing part of it, I would say that that's what a lot of agents do not do to a high level. And that's what would get you. Absolutely, you're not gonna miss those listing appointments, because even our ISA is called the morning of and say, today's the day, Amy's coming out. Are you still good? Yeah. All the pre-listing work that you can possibly do to build that rapport, and by the time you get there, you're just telling them what you've researched. They're ready to listen.
And with the ones that they're not ready yet, are you putting in TBD and like marketing date and price point?
If I know, I'm like, Heidi's favorite thing. Not only, tell me more about that, but other than blank, what is preventing you from agreeing to work with our team today?
Yeah.
Isolate it, and then when they have no other thans, okay, well, let's go ahead and take a moment to sign this so that you know you have excellent representation.
Yeah, I can do a better job of that, because, I mean, I wanna go ahead and take the listen, but I kinda wait until I get close to when we're ready to go, and then you take the listen, but I know I should take it, like, on the spot.
You should get an agreement to work with them.
Right, I understand,
Welcome now.
yeah.
Anybody else have any ahas or questions?
So you're taking the, real estate indicator report in your listing.
Yes,
Are you using it?
not the listing, I do it in the actual listing.
Okay, so are you using it? Are you sharing it like week to week, showing the change in the market, or are you just, is it a one time?
If they did not sign at the time and they're signing a couple weeks later and this market being what it is, I'm reissuing that to them because it's gonna be different data that's on that information sheet. Okay, we discussed this price point earlier, however, this is where we were at. Now we're here. This is what the market is showing us. Guys, I can't stress enough, put all this in your Google Drive, put all of it wherever, put your CMA in there, put your indicator report, anything you've shared with them, put it in there, because they're gonna say, well, they don't, what if they didn't keep that CMA? And you can't tell them that now the CMA said this and now it says this. Well, here's the CMA I sent you last time. This is what the market's done since then. Save it.
you send us the same of your free listing and listing profile.
I'll have to get it cleared down, thank you. There's stuff in here that you can add, I can go and see samples and things like that.
Yeah, I was interested in like her. I've had that, yeah, I use that, but I want to see like what the difference is and to the one that I use.
Y'all, I'm a high C, y'all, these three people up here will laugh their heads off, because another thing that I do is when they get an offer, when my clients receive an offer, I'm like, congratulations, you've got an offer. I will send in the email all the terms in the body of the email. It's gonna be red if I want them to counter it, it's gonna be blue if it's a consideration we might need to discuss, but it's okay. It's gonna be black on white. At the bottom of that, I do an extra seller estimated net based on this offer with these terms. I'm doing that again for them. And then I'm attaching everything that the buyer agent sent at the bottom of the email. It's much. I understand it's much. I'm much. But I'm a fierce advocate. If that's what I want people to say about me, is that I'm a fierce advocate. And that I told you so.
Did you say you did that with, you do that with each offer or the offer that they are?
When we sent multiple offers, I was doing it on a spreadsheet, so no, but I do it with each offer. As they come in. Even if we're holding all offers until. Yeah. Now, if I've got two offers in at the same time, I might do it, in the same email, but yes. Yeah, and I encourage them in the body of the email, I'm like, open the attachments, discount, double check me. I'm right, but discount, double check me. So. yeah. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. They can. Thank you for the food.
Yes. Some second thing also. She was like, I didn't.
Fabulous, thank you.